You know, in West Bengal, there's this one school that just keeps winning Best School Awards year after year. But here's the thing, its secret has nothing to do with fancy tech or big budgets. Nope. It's all built on a philosophy that started with a spiritual vow way back over 80 years ago. So today, we're going to dive into how this really unique foundation leads to some pretty extraordinary success.
So let's just start with a basic question, right? What actually makes a school the best? I mean, is it just about getting the highest test scores? Is it super strict discipline? Or is it something else? Something, deeper that you can't really measure with a report card? Just keep that question in the back of your mind because we're about to look at a school that has a very different answer.
And for a whole lot of people in West Bengal, the answer to that question, well, it points to this one specific place, the Mahesh Sri Ramakrishna Ashram Vidyalaya. Now, this school has built this almost legendary reputation, and it's not just for churning out amazing academic results, but for its entire philosophy on what education should even be.
And look, this isn't just hearsay or, local pride. We're talking official recognition. The state government has given them the Sara Vidyalaya Award, which basically means best school, not once, but multiple times. They got it in 2018, and then again in 2024, and again in 2025. That's a serious pattern of excellence. But the real story, the one we're getting into, is why. Why do they keep winning? Okay, so the secret to all this success? It's not some new app or a cutting-edge curriculum. It's actually a core philosophy they call man-making. And the whole idea is about building character, building inner strength, not just cramming heads full of facts. And believe me, this one single idea influences literally everything they do there. And right at the heart of that philosophy is this really powerful quote from Swami Vivekananda. He basically said, look, real education isn't about how much information you can shove into your brain. He said it has to be about life-building, man-making, character-making. It's about really getting ideas, assimilating them, not just memorizing them for a test. For this school, that's their guiding principle, their North Star. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means their mission isn't just to create students who ace their exams. Not at all. It's about fostering the total development of every single student. They're focused on a value-based education that goes way, way beyond what you'd find in any textbook. And this whole framework, this entire educational and spiritual approach, it's inspired by the teachings of three really important figures. You have the spiritual guru, Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother, Sri Ma Sarada Devi, and of course, the man we just quoted, Swami Vivekananda. Their ideas and ideals, that's the bedrock. That's what the whole school is built on.
Which brings us to the school's origin story, which is honestly just as unique as its philosophy. You see, this place didn't start because of some government grant or a meeting in a boardroom. No, it started with a vow, a promise.
Okay, I want you to picture this. It's 1940. A group of young, passionate idealists, led by a man who would later become Swami Pramagnananda. They all gather at this sacred place called Dakshineshwar, and right there they took this incredibly powerful vow. They promised to dedicate their entire lives to helping children build strong moral character and spiritual values. The school we're talking about today, it was born directly out of that single moment, that promise. And that vow really kicked off a very deliberate, step-by-step journey. So after making that promise in 1940, a few years later in 43, they started a printing press to publish content for kids based on these values. Then, by 1951, the ashram, the spiritual community, was officially registered. And just 1 year after that, the Vidyalaya, the school itself, was born. And it just grew steadily from there. It became a higher secondary school in 2005, and then in 2018, it won its very first Best School Award. It was this slow, careful, intentional journey from a simple idea to a powerhouse institution.
So, okay, that's the history, that's the philosophy. But how does all of that actually look in the day-to-day life of a student there? Well, this is where we get to see that whole man-making idea really come to life.
And this comparison really gets to the heart of what makes them different. Think about it. On one hand, you've got your typical bookish knowledge, just learning by rote, focusing only on exams. But then, on the other hand, you have this school's model. They're focused on building character, making sure students love their own culture and language, and putting a huge emphasis on things like teamwork and friendship. It's a totally different mindset about what the whole point of school even is.
And they don't just talk about this stuff, they actually do it. It's tangible. They build strong character through self-discipline. They make sure students have a deep love for their mother tongue, Bengali.
The kids compete in national games. They're involved in all sorts of cultural programs and events. They grow spiritually through the ashram's activities. They even work on their writing skills with these cool student-run wall magazines. I mean, it is a truly, truly holistic education.
And this quote right here from Sri Ramakrishna, it just perfectly captures how they think about knowledge. It's not about just collecting a bunch of facts. He says that true knowledge is something that purifies your mind and your heart. It changes who you are on the inside. Everything else, well, from their perspective, that's not even real knowledge.
Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, this all sounds wonderful, but what about the grades? What about the academics? And that is the absolute key point. This whole value-based system doesn't take away from their academic success, it actually fuels it. It's the engine behind it.
And you want proof? Here it is. In the 2024 Madhyamik exams, that's the big Class 10 boards, the top student from the school's hostels scored an incredible 94%. And he wasn't alone. Tons of other students scored above 90%. See? The discipline, the focus, the character that they build in these kids, it translates directly into amazing academic results.
So, as we start to pull this all together, what's the secret sauce? What's the big takeaway from the story of this really incredible school?
Well, you can almost break it down into a kind of four-step formula. Step 1, you start with a really powerful why, that man-making philosophy. Step 2, you build everything on a strong foundation. In this case, their spiritual and cultural heritage. Step 3, you make sure you're prioritizing the whole person, not just their grades. And step 4, you create an environment that is both disciplined and nurturing. It's that combination.
When you get right down to it, their success is this amazing and powerful mix of three key ingredients: deep spiritual roots, serious academic rigor, and a rock-solid commitment to building character above everything else.
And that just leaves us with one last pretty deep thought from Swami Vivekananda. He said that education is simply the manifestation of the perfection already in man. So if that's true, if the perfection is already inside us, then the real question this school makes you ask is, how do we create schools and environments that don't just try to teach us something, but actually help us unlock all that potential that's already there?